Only ever buy a business from a motivated seller. In this video, I'll be talking about why it's so important that you only ever deal with motivated sellers when you want to buy a business. So there's so many reasons as to why you should only deal with motivated sellers. I just want to lay out some of the reasons as to why dealing with motivated sellers is going to be the best way to get your deal done. So the first reason is it's easier negotiation when you're dealing with motivated sellers. Think about it. If you've got someone who is not that motivated to sell their business and you've approached them about buying their business, they are going to be more difficult to negotiate with. Why? Because they're not in a position that they have to let go of their business, or whether that's personally or whether that's financially within their person, by the way. You should never buy a bad business, always buy good businesses. The person can be distressed, but not the business itself. So it'll be easier to negotiate with the person when they're motivated to sell their business. You'll be able to do more back and forth and to get something which is more favorable for you. And therefore, it leads us to the second reason, and that's they will end up accepting a lower offer. So for example, even if their business is valued, you do the valuation. Never accept the valuation of a seller because they don't know what they're talking about most of the time. Never accept the valuation of a business broker because most of the time they overvalue and inflate the valuation. So even though, for example, you've done your own valuation, you say, right, I'm willing to pay up to X amount for a business, always go in for a lower offer. Of course, that's good business for you, right? But if the seller is motivated, they're more willing to accept an offer which is lower, even though it's based on a valuation that you and them may have agreed on. Not agreed on, but they've indicated a valuation and you thought, okay, that's a valuation that we may be able to deal with. You go in lower, they're more likely to accept that lower offer. So once you've made that lower offer, you can also go into what's the third thing, and that's get a better deal structure as well. So when you're dealing with a motivated seller, not only is it easier to negotiate with them, not only is it better or easier to get a lower offer accepted, it's also better and easier to get a good deal structure for you. Remember, not all deal structures are equal. If you're going to pay cash on completion and you're going to pay 100% of the consideration, by the way, you should never do that. But if you end up paying 100% on consideration on day one, then that's not a good deal structure for you because all of the risk is now on you. But there's different deal structures that you can do to ensure that not only do you get the deal done and the seller gets something which is of value to them, because why is anyone going to ever sell you a business if, for example, there's no value in it for them, even if they're motivated? But a good deal structure will keep you happy, have lower risk for you, mitigate the risk for you. You're managing your risk, and also they get what they want. But the deal structure is, more lean to your favor. So it's favored towards you as opposed to favor towards the seller. So you get a better deal structure out of it. And also, they're willing to work with you and not against you to get a deal done. So that's the fourth reason. You have sellers, for example, and it's so much back and forth and it's so painful to deal with them because you're like, they're saying this and you're saying that, and they're asking for 10 things and you go back, you may accept a few of them because it doesn't really make too much of a difference to you, but then they come back and they add another 10 conditions on top of that. Why? They're working against you for, of course, their best interest. Everyone's out there for their best interest, but now they're working against you to get a deal done. Now that doesn't mean that they intentionally want to jeopardize the deal. All they're doing is that they're working to make it so favorable for them, and then it makes it difficult to get the actual deal done itself. Remember, there can be a little bit of pain on both sides, right? But ideally, you're working towards the same goal of getting that completion done. If you've got an unmotivated seller, someone who's not motivated, and they're perfectly happy running their business, or whether they sell it or not, it doesn't make too much of a difference. They don't really care too much if the deal gets done or not, because they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to keep my business, I'm going to carry on making money, I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. If they end up giving me over the odds on price and they get me everything I want on deal structure and I get all of the conditions on top of that, that's not working with you to get a deal to completion. That's why working with people, working with sellers, motivated sellers who are working with you and not against you to get a deal to completion is the hallmark and the benchmark and the characteristics of a motivated seller. And the last thing is to actually get the deal to completion. So it's all well and good that you negotiate with the person, with the seller. It's all well and good that they accept a lower offer. It's all well and good that they accept a good deal structure. It's all well and good that they're generally easier to deal with and are working with you to get a deal to completion. But remember, A deal is not done until it's done, right? So you don't know this. It's not uncommon to have last minute negotiations. In fact, in every single business deal that I've done, there's always been negotiation on the last day. Every single time. So there's no, when you're doing a deal, when you're buying businesses, in fact, when you're doing any deal, right, whether you're buying a business or whether you're negotiating a contract, there's always going to be those last minute things that happen on the day of completion and the day of signing that can make and break a deal. In fact, there's one deal where I lost about £207,000 on a business transaction because it wasn't the last day of signing, but it was the week of signing. Literally, we're going to complete any day that week. And the last minute negotiation fell apart and the deal didn't end up going through. But when you're working with a motivated, and by the way, they were motivated, but they weren't super motivated. That's when I learned my lesson. Remember, when you're learning with people, when you're working with people, getting mentorship with people, you have to work with people who've done deals themselves. And they've done multiple deals, because they'll be able to tell you the things that they lost money on, and they'll be able to ensure that you don't make the same mistakes and that you don't even end up in that position in the first place. So you don't lose money. You learn from a mentor's mistakes. Anyway, you get the deal to completion. So we lost £207,000 on that transaction because in the last week of the deal, it fell through. But with all of our other transactions before and after that one, it's been last minute negotiations. But because the seller's motivated, we got the deal done. That's ultimately the thing. When you're working on a business acquisition, it's all well and good. You know, people say it's the journey, not the destination. There's some truth to that, but it's about the destination. Let's not live in this world where everyone wins and it's woo and all this crap. No, the winner wins. The completion wins. It's only when the deal gets done, that's when you've won. When the shares have been transferred into your name, the assets have been transferred into your name, the bank has been transferred into your name, the payment processes and the account receivables have been changed into your name. All of that has been changed into when I say your name, you know what I mean, into a company, whatever. And the money has exchanged hands and they've got what they want, whether it's a no money down deal or whether it's cash on completion, 100% or 50% or whatever it may be. When that's happened, that's when the deal is done. And that can only happen with a motivated seller. Look, if you're a huge company, or not even a huge company, if you're a medium-sized business, maybe you're doing 100, 125 million, 150 million in turnover at the moment. It's okay, and you've got cash reserves, I'm talking about here. It's okay to pay for a deal. Maybe you want to do an acqui-hire, right? So there's so many different types of business acquisitions. Maybe you want to do an acqui-hire. You want to go into a new service delivery line, right? And you don't want to start from scratch. So you find a business and you see this business is a high quality business and it's a great business and the seller's not motivated, but you know that that's the type of service that you want to buy and you want to offer to your customers. Look, you're doing good revenues, you've got excellent cash reserves, you've got let's say for example, there's businesses out there which have 5 years worth of cash reserves, right? And maybe that business that they're looking at eats up 1 year's worth of their cash reserve. That's no problem. You can go out and you can pay money for that. You can work with the unmotivated seller. Why? Because you want their service more than they need whatever they need to continue running the business, right? You use up 1 year's worth of cash reserve, you end up with the business, you end up with a fantastic service line, and then of course you can build up that 1 year's worth of cash reserve maybe in a few months, right? Because now you've got an additional business worth of the cash flow and you've got your business which is hugely strong, and then you're doing that. But people mostly when they're starting out, when you're buying your first business, you don't have those cash reserves. You're utilizing other people's money from investors, from lenders. And maybe you're using some of your retained earnings, but you don't have 6 years worth of cash reserves. You have to work with a motivated seller. That's the only way that you're going to get your deal done. So make sure you're only dealing with motivated sellers. And if you want to find out more about how to buy businesses, of course, continue to watch videos on this channel. I post out so much content to help you guys. Remember, all of my content is free. All of my best content is free. And I have it and I deal with my clients as well. But my clients get my time, they get my attention, they get my knowledge and expertise of years of doing deals. But you get that also on this channel. So definitely watch all of these videos on this channel. But also I've got a 7-step blueprint in which you can learn how to buy your first business. It's absolutely free and you can go and benefit from that. Anyway, best of luck on your business buying journey and I'll see you in the next video.